Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Well, hey there, my friend. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Batten. This is episode 283. I can't even with that. Season 6 of the Creative Shop Talk podcast, episode 283. Like, what is even happening? So I just want to give a shout out, first of all, to all our new listeners. So, hey, we have a lot of new followers. Our downloads went like bananas a couple of weeks ago, and thank you. And I've been getting all kinds of cool and interesting conversations in my DMs and Instagram with followers and listeners. So keep chatting. I love hearing from you. And again, we're always going to ask you if you're enjoying the podcast, which a couple of retailers have said to me lately that they're binging, and I don't know why. It just seems funny to me that somebody would want to binge Wendy, but thank you. I appreciate you binging us. We do have an incredible library of helpful podcast, if I do say so myself, especially this season right now, holiday season. I want to invite you to go back and look at some of our vault. That sounds weird, but anyway, go back and look at our podcast vault. We also have a best of holiday podcast series. Wow, that sounds like a mouthful. But we do have a playlist already created for you. If you would like that playlist, you can jump over to my website at wendybatten.com. We'll also link that here of some of our top podcasts around getting ready for the holiday seasons, because my friend, I know we're in it, right? We're in it deep. And wow, this podcast episode is I'm actually sitting here with a couple of books in my hand I'm going to talk about. I've got a coffee. That's probably going to get cold because there's no way I can drink coffee while I'm podcasting, but I don't know, I was sipping on a coffee. And this episode was not on my calendar, was not on our schedule this week, but I sent prompt? No, I sent out a email on my Sunday morning emails, which are usually just a coffee chat. They're just a casual coffee chat with me. And this podcast comes from the results of, holy cow, the feedback from my podcast during Thanksgiving weekend, which was a couple of weekends ago. So Canadian Thanksgiving is different. I'm in Canada. By the way, if you don't know, I'm in Canada. I live in a tiny little fishing village in Nova Scotia, Canada. People always seem surprised by that, but here we are. I am podcasting to the world, working with clients around the world from a tiny fishing village, and it's true. And you know what? I bring retailers here. We're going to do our next mastermind meetup here. And again, we've done it before. We're doing it again in the spring. Anyway, that's a plug for my Level Up Mastermind group if you're looking to join our next cohort, which will include a visit to my tiny fishing village. So I promise it's more exciting than I'm making it sound. But anyhow, I digress. The email that I sent out spurred this podcast. And the email that I sent out was really about how deeply grateful I felt in my own community, speaking of my tiny fishing village that has a beautiful community around it, and realizing that, and this isn't anything new. It's not anything I don't talk about or teach about hospitality, about the power, just the incredible magic and the power that we have and you have as a retailer. I mean, I spent that whole week and the whole week last week getting ready for Thanksgiving. And I just found myself, buying books in our local bookshop and in the flower shop and, visiting Svenja in the flower shop and, just the vintage shops, the stores, the bakeries, the farmers market, getting, food, the hardware store, buying mouse traps. But anyway, that was not fun, but it's still fun because, the guys at the hardware store know us and they're like, oh, they're giving us the right advice, right? Even our local pizza joint, like our local restaurants, we have fabulous restaurants here. And, I'm in the restaurant and they, they know us and they, talk to us. And the way that makes me feel, every stop that I was in was filled with laughter, conversation, genuine connection, meeting new people, hugging old friends. Like, it's crazy what local, like it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy. And I'm hoping that my crazy rambling here is making sense before we jump into this episode. But these business owners, here's what I want you to take away. These business owners, they're not just selling products, they're selling creative human experiences. That's not what they're putting on their taglines, right? Come buy some flowers and get a human experience. That's not what we're doing, but it's what we're doing. So I want you to think about it. And again, the email I sent out on Sunday, I sent it out Sunday, and then I went about my day and got ready for Thanksgiving. I had company over, I was cooking the turkey, did the whole thing. It's blustery, cool day here. And I was in the house. I did not go back on my email. Generally, I send that email out and then I don't go on my email because of boundaries. And I went on Monday morning. Honestly, and that was today. I'm actually recording this in the moment because, wow, I was really surprised at how that podcast, or that, I keep saying podcast, but how that email, the replies I got to it really touched me, again, a human experience, from retailers that just were saying, that they forgot that's what they're doing. So it's prompted me to do this episode, which wasn't on our calendar, which I want to talk about. And, that question that I was asking around that and the feeling is really, why does your shop even exist? Why does your shop exist? This is something I ask a lot of my clients, all the retailers I have the privilege and the pleasure of working with, especially when I start working with them. There's usually a question around what's your motivation for running your business? And there's lots of reasons you might have for running your business. And I hope that one of these reasons that you have for running your business, your motivation, is that you are trying to create these human experiences. And what does that look like? This is really important. And this is going to be, if this is not for you and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't care about human experiences. I do not care. I just want to sell stuff. I am not the human for you. I'm not the coach for you. I'm not the mentor. I'm not the podcast for you, because I really do believe that in order to run a successful, happy, amazing business, retail business, we have to be in a position of any business you're in, you need to care about the humans that are buying from you. And in retail right now, this is where we're headed. I feel like this has been a thread in a lot of my podcast episodes over the last little while. It's also been a huge thread in my teaching because it's important. So in this world where we're increasingly digital, customers are increasingly feeling anonymous. Everything's fast. Everything's click now, buy now. They don't actually need anything. It's what they want, right? It's things that they want. And we want your shop to be the opposite of this invisible, fast, I don't know, all those things. And that's about your brand. Hopefully you're building that into your brand, but that's not everything I wanted to talk about today. I want you to remember about being personal, about being intentional, about being a connector in your community. It's not a small thing. It's a huge thing. This is, again, I believe this to be the opposite of everything AI and digital and fast. And, and again, there's totally room for all of that in your retail business because we still need that. We still need the e-commerce. We still need all of those pieces. But how do we make this personal, intentional? And how do we have a connection around that? There are a few key things that you have to have in place, right? You have to have a few things in place. First of all, everybody on your team has to feel that. So one of the things I was thinking about was, some of my clients and some of the things that they're doing. And I'm going to be rambly. I'm not rambly. Hopefully I'm not rambly. There is a point to my story. And I'm going to share a couple of books that I think are really great if you're interested in moving a little further in your reading this holiday season or listening to. But I'm literally on a mission to help all of you, if you're listening. I say all of you, you're listening as a single individual in your ear pods, wherever you're listening to me, but build a remarkable business for your community, but also for you and your team. This was the gist, I think, of my email as well. It wasn't just building that third place, as we like to call it, that people feel great in. It's also about building a business that you feel great in. Like, you have to feel really great and proud and happy and joy-filled as you build this business, and so does your team. Has to be a cultural thing, has to be, and then that leaks down, it threads down into the community. But this all has to be done with intention. It all has to be done with intention. And I'm going to tell you, this is also one of the biggest burnout busters that you can have as well. Burnout busters from, having a lot of passion for your community and feeling really good. And again, I'll touch base a little bit about that later, but understanding, that you're building something really strong and a strong foundation and having a purpose around it, it's so rewarding. And I'm seeing this happen with so many clients. And this is the thread I'm seeing. I'm going to brag on some of my clients right now, but this is the thread I see. The ones that are building, working on the back end. You guys, you got to work on the back end. You have to have financial stability and profits and pricing and confidence around the backside, the CEO side, putting your CEO hat on. You have to have confidence there. You have to be building that. That's a big part of what I do. But we also have to have, on the other side, we have to have that vision on the front of house, the things that the customers see and experience. We have to have a really strong brand that's really interested in being a community and a connector and a human experience provider. Maybe that's what we're going to call this new podcast. Be the remarkable business human experience. I don't know. I'm making this up. But that's what I want to say. You have to have both sides. The back of house has to feel good. And that's where, again, I see my clients, the ones who are really killing it on the front of house, are building that strong back of house. They're really enjoying, and maybe they didn't always. Not everybody loves the back of house. I have a tendency to be working with a lot of people who are like, I don't wanna, but I know I gotta, that kind of feeling, because that was me too. Maybe you attract what you are, right? So that was always me. I didn't really I don't want to do all those metrics and numbers and work on the profit margins and all of that stuff, but I gotta, right? So working on that and building the back of house, the CEO level work, and then tying that into all the cool things we're doing on the front of house for our community. This is how we stay remarkable. This is how we stay rememberable. We run a really healthy business and we provide that human experience. So the two books I was talking about were, first I'm going to tell you about some of my clients. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I do have notes, by the way. Everybody always thinks I off the cuff this, but because I feel rambly, but I get excited. So again, I'm thinking of some of the ways that some of my clients are creating connection, and not just events and promotions, because I feel like that's a given, and hopefully you understand, having, events and promotions and things in your shop that you're doing in your studio that you're doing that bring people together. That's always and forever going to be something that I think is really important. But I also have other clients who are doing things. I have a client who has a coffee shop in her store, and she has this big long communal table. Sounds funny, but it's a great communal table where people are connecting all the time. And she did that on purpose. Another client who has a beautiful big long bench and some tables outside her shop. She doesn't sell any food or anything, but the shop has this big deep porch, and she's created a space for people to connect and be on that. Team gatherings, your team has to gather. I have a client who's making advent calendars for her clients, for her team for the holidays, and bringing them in together. I mean, this is, again, human connection, making her team feel connected. I have clients who are doing, this is bringing people together via social selling. So in their stores, in this particular client's business, she's doing retail, also social selling being, turning on the camera, selling things. But the connection is happening in the comments and in the groups that she's watching the customers connecting online. So yes, it's digital, and yes, it's a little hands off, but it's still connecting people. It's creating community. It's people are seeing, she's talking to them, she's like, hey, Susie, I see you there, and I got something coming up for you because I know you love red dogs. I don't know who likes red dogs. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm saying. Her people know her people, building community. I have another client. I'm going to keep bragging on my clients here, but I have another client who's a super connector in her community. She has become a super connector in her community. Well, that makes people feel, again, seen. And she's creating this, again, human connection. She's bringing people together. This is all in addition to, of course, doing things in your shop, like promotions and, events in your shop. That is something we've talked about a million times here on the podcast. So I want you to understand, I still think that's amazing. Collaborating with other business owners in events, a shop hop and those kinds of things. Again, those are really amazing. They're bringing people together. So I just want to remind you to be thinking about, the whole mission of, why does your shop exist? And are you bringing people together? Is your front of house connected to your back of house? Are you working on both of them? A couple of the books that I was talking about, The Art of Gathering. If you haven't read that, I really recommend reading that. It's one of my favorites, Priya Parker. Anybody with a keen eye will know. I had it on my bookshelf, sort of facing out, not like on the spine, but on the face for a very long time. Priya Parker is really interesting to follow. The book is really good. She talks about like the best experiences don't happen by accident. They're designed with purpose. So thinking outside the box, thinking outside the normal, every person, like one human walks into your shop with, maybe another person or another customer, or even just your staff. That's actually a gathering. So what is that experience? That's bringing people together. I went into my flower shop last week, walked into the flower shop, was me and another human, that sounds weird, but another woman in the shop. And, the owner, I know Svenja really well. They were having a conversation. I was browsing. Next thing I know, Svenja's like, hey, you two need to meet, and like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And you both have kids that live away, and human connection. It was so great. We had a great conversation, and that's not everybody's experience. That's not everything that you want to do in your business. And again, some of you are eye rolling right now, but thinking about those little things and connecting even customers and having a good laugh and feeling good. Anyway, The Art of Gathering, Priya Parker, amazing book. I think one of the takeaways from her book is that we get to decide how people feel, the energy that they walk into, what they take away from our gatherings. Those are all things that Priya talks about in her book. And it's just really good. It's a beautiful book, and she's a really beautiful human to follow. Okay, the other one is, I've talked about this a bazillion times. This is not going to be a surprise, but Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. I've said that wrong so many times, but if you know, you know. He reminds us how creating like small, unexpected moments in our shop, like that's how make people feel seen, make them feel valued. So his book, Unreasonable Hospitality, is very much geared towards like restaurants and that, but it's so good for us. So it's not about being fancy. It's not about being, over the top. It's these little tiny human experiences that go so much further. This is how you build remarkable businesses and like rememberable. Y'all know I love that word, rememberable. Like how are you, and people, making people want to talk about you. So they want to be seen, and they will share. If they will share and talk about your brand to their friends and to the people, they will become allies and believers if we are doing things a little bit at a time to make them want to, right? So this is an intentionally designed connecting, but also with heart and intuitive. Well, you know what I'm going to say. But this is where, and then like heartfelt hospitality. This is what brings our shops. It's not just a place to buy things. It's a place to belong, I guess, be seen and want to come back to. Like they're going to want to come back. So I'm going to remind you, here's the thing. You cannot create any of this if your back of house is chaotic and a mess. If you are feeling worn out, if you are ready for burnout, I have some retailers who are hitting that right now because there's too much going on. So structure has to be there, profit has to be there, clarity has to be there, joy is felt right down the whole line of this, right? Energy and enthusiasm, my friends, and we all know that. But you need structure, profit, clarity, joy, and time to have an energy so that you can care deeply and you can honestly come from a place from deep down in your soul. This is sounding very woo, but hopefully that's all clear. So that's exactly what we focus on. That's what I teach. That's what I focus on. That's a really big alignment and part of our Retailers Inner Circle program. That is my group program. I want to, if you're looking for this kind of information and how to create these things, this is what we do inside the Retailers Inner Circle program. If you're looking to go deeper and work with me in a higher touch container, the Level Up Mastermind, it's getting a bit of a makeover, not a makeover, but we are going deep this year in our next cohort. So if you want to get an application to join us, it is going to be a great year ahead for the mastermind group. And we are really going to be building, well, we already are building amazing businesses. The members inside there are amazing and continue to be amazing to me. Like, they amaze me every day and the things that they're doing. And it's a mastermind and a coaching container together. So it's high touch coaching with me if you want to hang out a little bit. We're doing a meetup here in my fishing village in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia next spring. And it's also a great, strong group of retailers doing cool things. So those are some of the containers that I have. I have private coaching and other things, but making sure that the back of your house, your CEO hat, is firmly on and you're building a business and a brand that you're super proud of, again, with this human connection. So I also want to leave you with just a little prompt. Like, why does your shop exist? Just thinking about this, journaling on this. Why does your shop even exist? How does your business make people feel? Another question. Is it worthwhile and fulfilling to you? Those are like 3 really good journal questions for you, or prompts or something to think about as you're unpacking boxes and you're putting out glitter and whatever you're working on right now, because 'tis the season and I know you're busy. So I want to just thank you for being here. I think you are remarkable. I think you are amazing for running amazing businesses in your community. It's a whole amazing thing to be serving community, right? And to be bringing people together and to be focused on them and the team that you're building and the business and the legacy that you're building. You're amazing, my friend. So in order to keep doing that well, you have to have a happy team. You have to be in charge. You have to be focused. You need to be strong behind the scenes. So I want to send you out a little high five to being resilient and strong. So remember, we cannot pour from an empty cup. This sounds like a cliche, but that's how I feel. Like, if you have an empty tank, you can't run on fumes. So we want to make sure that your back of house is feeling so good for you, because we're building these businesses from a place of feeling really good, right? Okay. Have a fabulous day. I want to remind you that you are not just running a store. You are building legacy in your community, right? You're building legacy in your community for the people that work for you, for yourself, for your community. It's amazing. Really, what you're doing is amazing. And I love you. And I think you're doing amazing. So from my cold coffee cup, my coffee is totally cold. It was going to be a quickie, but from my cold coffee cup to yours, thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thank you for doing the work that you do that keeps your community thriving and happy. And we'll see you here next week. Don't forget, jump in my DMs if you have any questions, you want to share anything and share any wins, share how you're gathering people and how you feel. And if you want to talk a little bit about working together, we can do that there as well too. If not, jump over to wendybatten.com/work-with-me. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Anyway, you can see all of the different ways that I work with people, because I would love to work with you, my friend. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Have a fabulous week. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.